learned from the lesson. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a little, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it down, we gon' get it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in October 14, 2020, and the stock market is going to trip out on Friday. Sounds a little bit weird to say, but today the market went a little bit crazy in its own way. We had some earnings, and I want to talk about it because it leads me to have a thesis. So a pretty interesting week of no news and news at the same time. Today we saw a little bit more developments than we did yesterday. However, they were a little bit more negative, and there were some key updates we have to look for. Also, there was the Apple event, and it's kind of a weird day to mark, but you got 5G fully being launched in the United States today, or at least by Verizon. So we still got the earnings. We have more earnings setting up, but there is a few unique factors and things going on that we need to talk about. So I got the plays. I have 3 or 4 different stocks I'm going to be looking at, 2 plays that we made today that I need to go over, as well as one that I kind of like for tomorrow. I have the keys, as well as what I'm looking for to happen here coming into Friday, which is a very important day. So let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open. It's the first link in the description, and it is pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free 99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/thestockmarket. You can post the plays, see the plays, watch the watch list come to life. And yes, if the normal Apple events just don't cut it and you need a little bit of a translation, we're the place to be. And the most important thing you need to do, post watch below this, what you're looking at. Got any plays, comments, remixes, anything, post them below and source that info. Shout out to Chad, baby. So right off the bat, first thing, like we said, you had some negative headlines today. Yesterday, we didn't hear much about the stimulus, but you got negative stimulus news that the Democrats and Pelosi didn't like it. Then McConnell said he's going to push a $500 billion paycheck bill next week, and the markets dropped on that because even then, it's just like the market, they're not going to approve that. So we're kind of pricing in a little bit more time, but like we said, it's clear that the markets know it's going to happen. This is just going to be a game of politics. So there was that, but then one thing that I think really had an effect, we saw it at 2 different times. I believe it was Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson this morning, but then this one was big because the president has touted it, Eli Lilly. So they halted their vaccine, and this was very interesting. It created a reaction. Even Eli Lilly's not really a company that moves a lot, and you can see that they dropped 3%, and they even made a run-up on the news of them being part of this whole vaccine stuff. Again, this stock just really doesn't move like that. Eli Lilly is one of the longest dividend payers in the world. It's been around for a really, really long time, has a good, consistent history. This isn't your volatile stock. So this is interesting to see, but now what this means for the whole space of vaccines, drugs, and even factoring the whole vaccine and virus coming into the election and all that, it's interesting. We're going to talk about that when we get into the plays, but that had a real big effect on the market today. And then there is the election, but it's clear even to this point, this is becoming one of the most contested elections in a weird way, but it's going to be a quote-unquote contested election that even come after November, you're really not going to know who the president is or have it confirmed up until February of next year. This is going to go all the way up until like the inauguration, so get ready. But that being said, now the final thing is a big expiration this Friday. So some people are talking about a big move leading into this. They're saying it's creating this squeeze with earnings and what's going on and how people are getting positioned. Even if you look at the VIX, there's a lot of different theories, but it kind of makes sense. October 16th is a key day. We have a lot of options there. There's been a lot of activity there. So if anything, I think we are going to get a big move after that expiration coming into next week. Granted, it still could pop off this week. We might see a little movements leading up to that, but this is a really, really big expiration, even how stocks are moving into earnings. And that's what today highlighted, because even though the general market dropped down, I'm going to show you some companies here. You saw a lot of crazy big moves on the NASDAQ and some of these tech names. So there was a lot of activity, and it's showing you that push-pull, that cat-dog. So it's kind of clear something's brewing, and we're approaching the end of the year. I mean, October is halfway over now at this point, so we'll see. But keep your eye out for Friday, and then finally, the banks still have earnings. They could still push things up this week. However, JP Morgan had a really, really good earnings. They even lowered their loss provisions. The banks, or at least the ones that are well capitalized, are kind of hinting to the market that everything is good, so we'll see what happens. But that tech run-up and the rotation with tech and everything going on, it is very, very real right now, and you're seeing it. Again, when I show you those companies, you'll see what I'm talking about. And then finally, in the name of earnings, in the name of things kind of getting crazy towards middle or later October, I think the Grim Reaper is really, really just creeping around out there, and I think that will be the X factor. A lot of people have talked about this, given the nature of the election now with the vaccine and all of this. I'm thinking we're going to start hearing talks and actually see it of a W-shaped recovery. So everybody's been talking a V-shaped recovery, but TUVW is the next letter that comes after V. And that's what I think it's going to look like, where we're going to get the big drop, then the rip up, there's your V. But I think we might get one more bigger drop and then a bigger move up there. So that is going to get facilitated anytime sooner. I'm thinking we're going to have to take a really, really bad earnings surprise to get there. So stay strapped and stay focused. I hope you're ready. But that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I have 3 or 4 different plays. 3 of them I made, one that I really, really want. As far as the 2 that I made today, or 3 of them, I like this one. I'm going to start with this one because of 5G, and it's interesting. I think this could lead to some plays even on Apple, but we grabbed a weekly on Verizon. This was during the Apple event. They started to shoot up, but I grabbed 20 of these weekly 62s at 15, and again, it was really far at the money. I paid like an 800% premium. People were just going crazy over it. I did too. I overpaid. I got clapped like 80% on this one, but I think with a little bit of time, and I think as this digests, it could be a little bit bigger, but I think I'm going to need more time. I think this weekly is going to be clapped. I'm going to use it as a place marker, see how I can position, or even possibly look for a credit spread. But I think that 5G news is pretty big. I think it's kind of watered down given how we've been looking at 5G over the last few years, but I think it's kind of arrived, and it's a little bit interesting to think about. So that was your first play. As far as the other play that I made today that you guys didn't really get to see, I didn't do it on the E-Trade. I actually did it on the bigger TD Ameritrade account. So you guys could see here, I went with 3 different plays, or 2 of them. Next one on the list was Disney. So we talked about this play on the watch list yesterday. I ended up getting 11, or I guess I got accidentally filled and then canceled. I had an issue. I got filled anywhere between 37 and 43. So I have 11 of these January 180 calls. Logic is very, very simple. That news was pretty big. They're changing it more towards growth. So what I wanted to do is kind of go towards like a slight leap, because these contracts only have 3 months. So they're not really leaps if you think about it. But I wanted a little bit more time, and I liked that it was pretty much at the bottom end of the scale here. It didn't have too much of a premium. We did pay a slight premium over the day before, but kind of when we look back at those Apple leaps and all that, you got to see how catching them a little bit earlier, at least on the bottom side with a little bit of time, it's a little bit good. So I went slightly bigger with that one, but not too big compared to some of the positions we were doing over the last few months. So that was the first play. Then the second one, Target, I think they're going to be the real winner out of this whole Amazon Prime Day. I think it kind of got slept on. I think these held value the whole time, but I grabbed these January 230 calls. So similar logic, get a little bit of time on them. I wanted to get more time, and this was the issue, is that I tried to get some time on these contracts, but a lot of the premiums were all over the place, and it was really difficult getting a good fill. So in this case with Target, you could kind of see it here. We paid a slight premium on it. I didn't pay that much over the day before, but over the last few days, it's been holding up. And that's because Target has had a very, very strong trajectory overall. So the way we make money on these ones that are further out the money with more time is that they're not appreciating too much. Even though the stock's going up, that means the stock has to move faster than what it's originally pricing in. So hopefully you see with both Disney and Target, they have 2 different catalysts, but again, catalysts in general that could give them a little bit boost to break out the current range of what they're pricing on that midterm. So those were the first 3 plays. Finally, the last play that I want, and I really like it. I'm trying to figure out if I could get it as a credit spread or something, but the spreads are crazy. I'm keeping my eye on this. I want to watch it. I just think it's an easy play if you know the general idea, and it's such an easy play. The spreads are so crazy. That's what makes it hard. Getting filled is difficult at the right price, but if you could get this at a right price, I think it's a good play. But REGN, I think they're the new winner in all of this vaccine talk, because they are not a vaccine. They're an antibody, and now all these vaccines are seeing what's going on, but even then, they're rolling everything. They already got in with the president. We already heard a little bit about them. They are a very reputable company, but again, you already just saw what happened with Eli Lilly, so it's really hard to say. But I think REGN is its own little winner in its own category. So I want to try to find a play on there. Again, spreads, pricing, that is what's making it difficult to find one. So there was that. As far as everything else, actually, we did close out one credit spread. You guys remember that crazy Amazon credit spread? To my surprise, it dropped a lot today. So we were actually able to get a 350 net profit. I closed them at 39 cents. So if you guys don't remember from the play yesterday, what happened, we did this Amazon credit spread, meaning we shorted those 3,880 calls, pretty much saying that Amazon is not going to go higher than 3,800 by the end of this week, Friday. And then we bought the $4,000 calls as insurance, but they paid us $1.75 per contract. It was just about $500 and some change of credit. So now Amazon was up in the morning, but then they ended up dropping today, and now time premium and all that, these contracts dropped 80%. So I was surprised. I think it was maybe because of TD Ameritrade. I got a really, really good fill. I was very, 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 very surprised, but I was able to close these out at 39 cents the day after. We got a $350 profit. That play had a really, really big risk, but the fact we were able to do 80% in 24 hours, that was a very, very good credit spread. So we were able to book that profit. I also closed out of the UAL credit spread. So we've been talking about this again. Shout out to Zach. This was a good lesson because we had a lot of people on stream. They used this as a really, really good example. Remember, this play was smaller. I forgot when we opened it. We opened it last week, but we got $350. So again, we shorted this credit spread. It's a call, so you shorted the calls. We were pretty much saying that United Airlines wouldn't get above $42 by the end of this week. We got paid $350 for all 10 of those contracts. So now, over the days, time premium, UAL doesn't go up. There's data. That same play is now worth $70. So what I did is I bought them back at 7 cents. Bought them back because we initially shorted them, covered my obligation, but since I bought them back at 70, we get to keep the difference between $70 and $350. It's about $280 profit. So putting that together with the Amazon play, we got about like $500 and something already in realized profits. Oh, another one too, I forgot. That good old DraftKings play just got that much more difficult. So now it's kind of back at the low end of yesterday where we got to make some profits. Now we're only down 1,300 versus 5,000 at the beginning of the week. But now this contract is coming into Wednesday. So tomorrow is going to be a real make it or break it, because if it pulls too heavy in one direction, that is what's going to decide it. So if it has a real big dip tomorrow, it's going to make, we might have to roll over. It's going to make it very, very hard. Or again, we're going to have to really consider the real consequences of this trade. But if it also makes a good pull up, we should be in the clear, and then we will be able to ride it out. But ever since I told you guys my plan, I haven't had that opportunity to do a smash and grab on really, really expensive premium. The premium has only gotten cheaper from that last average down. So keep that in mind. But watch this play. Again, awesome credit spread. You guys are seeing, we didn't panic yet. We're seeing how it's moving. So pay attention and welcome to credit spreads. But as far as everything else, I'm going to watch all those companies. I like Netflix as well too. Some people in the chat did some cool credit spreads on those. However, I think with earnings coming up, they're just probably going to be one of the first big movers, and I think it could be a good one. Watch DraftKings, UNH. We're still holding all of our plays. They have earnings tomorrow morning, so we will see what happens. But if it does do good, we'll see what those plays hold up with. But watch for a continuation, but it's very hard to see them continue. They're not really the ones that do it. Then Apple, I want to see how this plays out. I'm looking for a swing trade given the news, but something interesting about all of this, it was a weird piece of news, but one of these drops came because they banned the event in China, which has not happened before. So I think it's interesting that considering 5G, then now they banned the announcement in China. I laughed at that. I mean, it was interesting. Some people are attributing that to the stock loss, so we'll see. But keep your eye on them. Watch Eli Lilly, all the other ones. Watch Uber and Lyft. They started dropping out of nowhere today. Those kind of caught my attention. I like them. I like Tesla too, just in the name of, this even relates to kind of like China as well. I actually think their Chinese demand is going up. People are interpreting the price cuts as a demand drop. However, given what we've been talking about with the Chinese currency and how much it's strengthening, I think it has to come down. So I think they're doing better in China than people are expecting. I think that's where a lot of the growth is coming from. So watch Tesla. I want to see if we could set up a play on there. And then finally, these are those companies I was telling you, like Peloton. They shot up 4% today. Zoom and went up 5%, $26, and then Roku up another $17, 18%. This is what I was trying to say to you guys, how some of these companies are going crazy still. This is that rotation. Even Amazon was up for a little bit. Even Walmart did good. So despite what you're seeing in the market, these are some of those companies that are really, really some of those earnings winners. I want to see how these play out. I want to look for some credit spreads. I don't know if these will be the Grim Reaper companies, but we will see. But you still have some of these bigger companies pushing and pulling, and it's clear because this is a big push when you've seen some stuff not moving too much, or even Apple down 3% almost. That's pretty sizable, and you're seeing a real rotation, and you're seeing a real rotation even in earnings companies. So watch that. Finally, GLD came down a little bit. This is interesting. You did see a little bit weakening in the Chinese currency. I'd watch that. I'd watch the dollar. This is getting, again, you're starting to see it get a little bit gappy, a lot of big volume today. But one thing I will tell you to watch out for, we kind of ignored this, but watch the pound. They have an important event, I believe, coming on the 15th or 16th, but the pound really, really weakened today, almost 1%. Like I said, any global currency starts moving 1%, especially if it's a bigger one you probably have heard and known about, I would pay attention, and that's usually pretty big. So that's going to be important. That's what I'll be watching for the rest of this week. But October 16th is the date. Watch after that expiration. We'll see some of these earnings. I hope you're ready for earnings season. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're hydrated, healthy, ready to go. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. I need your chest to the sun. I need you to have a little bit of confidence. If you don't want the dream, go back to sleep. Remember, they put targets on your back for dreams. So let's go. It's game time, baby. The cult loves you. I love you. And we'll see you in the morning. Let's go.